You know what, I'll probably play this on ×2. This little clip here is just about the innocence of World of Tanks. You see, we've got a little T-28 here. Hansa Mr. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but he's driving his T-28. Now, unfortunately, because of the new patch, you can see him in chat asking, is the KV2 good? And everyone is saying, very good, and it will wreck you. And I'm going, yes. So he decides to follow me. He's obviously a new player. As I say, the new patch means that XVM and stats and everything else aren't working. So we're on 9.15.1 right now. But T28 obviously has not seen. He's new to the game, the innocence of World of Tanks and new players. He's not seen a KV2 in action. So am I on fixed camera? There we go. So I move up here, T28 is following me, ELC appears in front of me, and 400 damage, one hit kill, because that's what the KV2 does. But look at chat, the T28 has never seen anything like this. It's like, OMG! And I'm thinking to myself, oh yes, the innocence. The innocence. I think that is one brand new World of Tanks T28 player who's going to be rushing his way to the KV2. But yeah, World of Tanks, when you're new to the game, there is a lot that can surprise you. And you kind of forget about that when you become a grizzled and salty old veteran. But yep, the game does have a lot of joy. It still has a lot of joy, especially if you're new to it. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the T49, the Tier 8 American light tank. And as I like light tanks and as I love derp guns, this is a tank I've been looking forward to playing ever since it was first introduced all the way back in, well, was it patch 9.4? I have no idea. I can't remember, but I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, I've been looking forward to playing this tank for so long. Yeah, I suppose we better do a little bit of history. Anyway, the T49 was another prototype developed to replace the Bulldog in 1954. And the Bulldog was still reasonably new at that stage, but the Bulldog was having just replaced the Chaffee. It was still a new tank, but it was having a lot of teething problems. The fire control and aiming system weren't working properly. The tank was just far too loud to do, you know, stealthy reconnaissance work. The engine was a gas guzzler. It went through far too much fuel, and not only was that a problem with resupply, it also limited its range of operation. It couldn't drive that far before having to refuel. But the biggest problem the Bulldog had was that it was just far too heavy for fast deployment via airdrop or drop shoot. I mentioned that in the Scorpions review recently. So a lot of money was spent developing replacements for the Bulldog, even though it was still a reasonably new tank. And those that money and those replacements included tanks like the T-71 that I featured on the channel not so long ago. Another tank, the T-92 light tank, which is an interesting tank, and I might actually talk about on a future video. It's a tank we don't have in the World of Tanks. And then we had the T49, yet another. There was a lot of money being spent on tank development. It was the Cold War, of course, and the start of the military-industrial complex, so there was a lot of money being thrown into design. So the T49 was just another one of the concepts that was drawn up to replace the Bulldog due to the Bulldog's teething problems. Now, the T49 stock, when it's stock in-game, is more historically accurate to the T49. The original T49 was basically a Bulldog hull that had an enlarged turret and a 90mm gun. So that's basically what the stock T49 is. However, with this upgraded turret, you could see a very flat pancake shape here, and this monstrous 152mm gun. This tank becomes more like the M551 Sheridan light tank than it does the actual original prototype T49. Now, I'm going to call this a gun, but technically technically it's a gun launcher. The reason it came with this humongous gun is the fact that this was two-purpose. It could fire conventional ammo like HE and heat, but it could also fire Shillelagh anti-tank weapons. Now, I love that because Shillelagh is Irish. The anti-tank missile was named after the old-fashioned Irish club. It was basically an Irish version of the baseball bat. But so yeah, it fired conventional ammo and it fired Shillelagh anti-tank missiles. The T49 was developed in the early 1950s with a prototype built in 1954, and it was considered a huge success. It passed all its trials with flying colour, but due to two different circumstances, basically the Bulldog worked out some of its faults. You know, I won't say all of its faults. It couldn't decrease its weight, but it fixed some of its other problems. And with the Cold War being at its height, the Russians had just developed an amphibious tank, the PT-76, and the new American light tank designs that were being designed to replace the Bulldog, none of them were amphibious. So in order to counter the PT-76, the T-49 was just far too far along the development line to redesign it to make it amphibious. So the project ended up being scrapped, and the M551 Sheridan, which I say in this configuration is more of a prototype of, but the M551 Sheridan was designed to be amphibious, and basically that tank ended up being developed and the T49 ended up being scrapped, even though it was a very successful prototype. Anyway, let's get on to the gameplay. I love this tank, I really do. We are here on Prokhorovka. I am platooned with Tonza, and it's a very nice matchup. This is my third game in the tank, so having played the Chaffee, having built up the crew, I put the Chaffee crew in here, retrained them for the T49, and finally got to start playing this tank. So T49, third game. I'm still getting to learn the tank. Now, while it's fast and maneuverable, you can argue that it's not as fast or not as maneuverable as other Tier 8 light tanks. As I say, I'm still relatively new to the tank, but it's definitely not as fast acceleration, top speed, or maneuverability-wise as other Tier 8 lights, so it suffers a little bit in that regard. It's also very big. It is a very big light tank compared to other Tier 8 light tanks. So that's another problem with the tank, but it's fast, it's mobile enough to keep me happy. I can play it like a light tank if I need to, and I can derp for a very disappointing 39 damage. I have no idea where that shot went. It looked as if it hit the IS-3, but a whole 39 damage, hooray! Yeah, so yeah, you've seen some T49 replays on YouTube that have been absolutely amazing. Yeah, this is not one of them. So we go for a blind shot in the Tiger. Not sure if I hit. I'm waiting for the Tiger to be respotted to see whether or not he's lost any health. But we're just pushing up. We're playing like a light tank, and I've got very little support. I've got very little support. So CDC moves up, and I'm going, please poke CDC. That's a tank I can absolutely decimate if I can actually hit him. So, more tanks in the middle. No sign of that Tiger too. He's staying very hidden. But we're sitting up here. Yeah, he's lost a lot of health. I don't know whether that was all from me, but wow. So we're just focusing again. Let's put another shot in. Now I'm up at the front line. Yep, timed that perfectly and reverse back because I expected to get spotted, but nope, we weren't spotted. We're spotting a lot of tanks at the top of the hill, but we were able to fire that shot, remain unspotted. Just moving up, FCM-50T, unfortunately not very well armoured, but too well armoured for me. However, there's a Waffentrager, and I go for the shot, and that's 753 damage. Oh, derps. Fortunately, didn't get spotted. Once again, didn't get spotted. So again, we're going to focus back here in the middle. I'm wondering, when am I going to be spotted? So we get a nice shot into the T30, reversing. Oh, that time we got spotted. Reversing back down to even before the 6th Sense timer went off. This is why I train up new crews. I mean, this tank playing with a stock crew with no 6th Sense would have been absolutely awful. This is why I play lower tier tanks to train up crews, and I often get criticized for playing scrub crews, but I don't play higher tiers hung around too long, got shot from an IS-6 somewhere in the middle, and we missed the T-30. So it's a derp gun, it's not accurate, especially if you're shooting on the move. So that was my own fault. I hung around after being spotted to try and kill the T-30 and took a hit. But yeah, I don't play higher tier tanks with bad crews. So we're just going to pop forward, put a shot into this IS-3. 268, yeah. One of the big benefits of the using this derp gun, using the final gun, is even if I come up against heavily armored tier 10 heavies in this tank, you can still damage them. You can still damage them from the front. But a CDC, oh, this is what this tank dreams of. CDC! Not much to aim at. And, oh, ho, ho, ho. 1,018 damage done. Oh, yes. Unfortunately, I thought we'd lost a tank beside me. Maybe not. It's been a while. I haven't watched this game, actually, since I replayed it. I'm just recording all of these replays live today. So if I make mistakes, I make mistakes. I go for a splash damage kill on the CDC. Unfortunately, he's no longer there, but another benefit of firing a big derp gun, you can splash damage tanks to death, but okay, T-30 in the middle. Do I go for this FCM? That's what I'm wondering. So the FCM is the only enemy tank that was left spotted on the hill, but okay, the cap counter is not going off, but the siren is. That's a replay bug. But we're being told spot, spot, spot. So somehow I got spotted. Maybe I didn't think the FCM was in proxy spot range, but FCM is dead. That IS-6 has been spotted in the middle. He's got its own problems. The CDC has relocated. The CDC on 40 health, and I decide I'm going to go for it because even though there are a few enemy tanks that haven't been spotted yet, the IS is in the middle. I should be safe just to move up. T-32 is just fired. We kill the T-32. CDC's on low health. There's the Comet. Spotted RT. So IS-6 is occupied, and I should be fairly safe here, I reckon. Trying to move erratically, waiting for the gun to reload. Oh, this reload. Yes, it's a KV-2 gun, so you've got to wait for KV-2 time to reload. Aim, 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 aim. Take a hit, and finish off the Comet. So. And then all of a sudden, I thought I was perfectly safe, but I just died to a Borsig, and you can see me looking at the hit indicator going, where is that Borsig? How did I die from a Borsig? And watch this, look at that camo rating. This guy's picked up 2 kills, and that's the first time that little bugger's been spotted. Our tanks had swept the flanks, they'd swept down both sides of the railway lines, and no one spotted him till now, so, yeah, I figured he was sitting down in K8, but no, turns out he was behind me all along, so unfortunately, first ace in the T49, and I end up dying. So I just have been waiting so long to play this tank, and I'm so sorry I did. But as I say, my problem is crews. It's not XP or it's not credits. It's always having enough good crews to put into higher tier tanks. It's terrible playing a high tier tank with a terrible crew. So I use my low tier crews, train up my crews in low tiers, and then when they finally graduate to 6th Sense or with a couple of skills, I'll move them into a higher tier tank I've been waiting to play. And it was the turn of the T49, so trained up a crew in the Chaffee before finally putting them in the T49. And it was my first ace in about my 3rd game in the tank, and I've been playing this tank just for stress relief alongside the KV-2 when days are going badly. But finished with 1428 XP, did a lot of spotting damage as you're about to see, 3,607 damage done, 3 kills, and you know, I only managed to basically hit and pen 2 shots in that game, but still a reasonable amount of damage, more damage than anyone else on the team. 11 shots fired and 8 hits, and yeah, I mean, I can expect that. I was firing a lot of shots from distance, a lot of those shots missed, and we managed to do damage to someone with splash as well, but I spotted 7 playing aggressively on the front line. Actually played it like a scout, even though there are better tier 8 scouts. Damaged 7, destroyed 3, and did almost 4.6k assistance damage again, just spotting at the top of the hill, spotting in towards the middle. Managed to do 4 base defense points, woohoo, and earned 49,000 credits. Wasn't firing any premium ammo, didn't need to. I don't fire any premium ammo ammo and derp guns anyway, so decent credit earning for a tier 8 light tank. So it was my third game, but it was my first game of the day. 2,142 XP overall on a ×2, and yeah, I have to say I do love the T49. I'm so happy to finally be playing it. But anyhow, that was a second video today, matched up, paired with the Chaffee Ace Tanker, because the two of them had a logical crew connection. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.